Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. On this video, I have a post from you from the subreddit Am I the A-hole with an update, and one from Relationship Advice. So if you'd like to go ahead and get started with the stories, just use the timestamps below the video. I'd also like to give a big shout out to all my supporters and the new members that have been coming in. It makes a huge difference and it really means a lot to me, so thank you very much. Now, let's get started with those stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's from user Ratio Human. Am I the a-hole for not helping my brother after he broke his leg? Okay, so the title makes me sound awful, but hear me out. I've been sick for a month, but no one knows what it is. Thankfully not COVID. Basically, I'm in bed sleeping most of the day, and when I'm not sleeping, I'm exhausted. Walking down one flight of stairs can feel like I've just been rock climbing. I've had blood tests for anything that would match the symptoms, but nothing came up abnormal. My 17 female brother, 23 male, broke his leg about a week ago trying to prove he could jump downstairs. Because his case is urgent, he needs surgery to join a piece of the bone, most of the focus has been on him, so I'm alone for most of the day unless I have friends come over to help with catching up schoolwork. So I've gotten pretty depressed, and that has in turn made me feel worse. The last week since he broke his leg, he's been making a lot of jokes about how I might have cancer or a brain tumor, which has definitely freaked me out, and our parents put it down to him being frustrated. Whenever we're in the same room and exhausted myself, which can include me having to sit down where I am, including on the floor, even if I'm near a chair, he'll ask me to get things for him or clear things for him. Our parents have obviously been doting on him and they're usually in the room and happy to help him, but he wants me to do it. This can lead to me exhausting myself getting things at lunch and being too tired to eat. After a week, I'm just done. I'm avoiding him so I don't have to do things for him, even if it means he has to wait until someone is free. And I feel like a bit of an a-hole because he needs crutches to get around, so he has a harder time than me reaching or opening things. It also sucks that when my friends are over, he interrupts us while we're studying. I have about 2 hours a day of energy to study, and will tease me by insulting me or calling me lazy, saying I'm expendable because I'm the third child, so who cares if it's serious? I've been lectured by our parents and told to be nicer and more considerate, and since I have energy bursts, I'm not really that sick anymore. I feel like I'm in the right not to help him, but it feels a bit like revenge. Am I the a-hole? OP, one question, are you sure you didn't mean to place a hyphen in between the 2 and the 3 for your brother's age? Because I had to read that like 3 times. Why would a 23-year-old need to prove he can jump downstairs? How much of an idiot is he? And just to get the judgment out of the way, OP, no, you are not the a-hole for not being at your brother's beck and call just because he's got a broken leg. Honestly, I'd be more concerned about your condition because there's a big question mark as to what it is, and your brother's leg will heal and everybody knows what it is. Also, and I can't stress this enough, how much of an idiot is he for jumping downstairs? He's 23, what the hell? The overthinking skeptic in me believes that your brother might have jumped down the stairs on purpose to injure himself because you were getting more attention for being sick and not knowing what it was. Now that he's bedridden or crutch-ridden, your parents are doting on him. And he's going out of his way to request that you do things for him, and at the same time, he bullies you and mistreats you. So yeah, OP, you're not the a-hole, your parents are, and your brother as well. Again, I cannot get over why a 23-year-old would have to jump downstairs to prove he can do it. Ugh. What do you guys think about this whole thing? Let me know your judgment in the comment section, and let's move on with the community comments to see what they have to say. Tuscany Lovers says, sorry OP, your brother and parents are treating you very badly. Using crutches at 24 isn't a big deal. Teasing you that you could have brain cancer, on the contrary, it is. Stand up for yourself and go see your general practitioner until you figure out what's going on with your lack of energy. Not the a-hole. Costa A95 says, not the a-hole. I think with all help given to others, it must be done from stable footing. take the time you need to recover and pitch in at a level you can manage without kneecapping yourself too much. At the end of the day, it was their mistake jumping. They have crutches to get around. They can manage almost every task, just a bit slower. Nobody dies if you take time for yourself. Try to shut out the feeling of familial obligation. Also, those comments from them tip this to an not the a-hole. Had they kept their mouths shut, this would simply be no a-holes here and some advice for you to enact a bit of self-care. OP responds, "The problem is next week I have a day of hospitalization to decide whether I should be hospitalized until they figure out what's wrong and the severity. So if I'm hospitalized for more than a day due to the fact that I'm a minor, a parent would have to be with me all day, so there'd be less focus on him. And the least I could do is help so they can focus on work, so they don't create a backlog if they do prolong my stay." I don't know what to write here. 21 says, "Not the a-hole. OP, your brother is being really crappy. I dealt with something similar to what you described. Ended up being mono and double pneumonia. And my parents expected me to go to school and that's it. We didn't know about the pneumonia at the time. As soon as we knew, I didn't go to school until I was better. It is awful just trying to stay alive basically. Your brother has a broken leg. That sucks. But he is expecting you to do everything, even with your parents right there. That's messed up." So the community mostly agree that OP is not the a-hole and the brother and the parents suck. Now, this original thread is from a month ago and people have been asking for an update to see about OP's condition. So let's continue with that now. So while I doubt anyone wants or needs an update, people were so nice and helpful when I wrote originally I wanted to update. I ended up being hospitalized for a bit and being given 2 possible diagnoses, and was told to just wait till I get better, though it might take a few months. My issues with my brother and parents weren't solved, but honestly, I think until I can move out and distance myself or stop being dependent, things aren't going to get better. There's always going to be a clear favorite, and honestly, I'm coming to terms with being okay with that. I talked with my older sister, and we both kind of agreed that he's burned his bridges and we need to look out for ourselves more than we look out for him. He was really hurt by the fact that we're way closer and ostracized him a bit, but after he's threatened and cursed at both of us, I'm surprised he didn't see it coming. Plus, our dog now prefers to play with me rather than with my brother, which I know is petty, but it makes me happy. Even if it's a cruel happiness that he doesn't get everything he wants and that there are repercussions to his actions. So I'd say all's well that ends well, even if it's not well and hasn't ended, because I'm looking forward to the future and planning with friends, so I'm out of the house more. And I get to subtly brag that I have friends, because he keeps saying I'm a horrible person who manipulates people into being my friend. And since I told them, they've started disliking him too, so I don't feel uncomfortable with him trying to convince my friends they should be his friends and not mine, which is also uncomfortable because of the age gap. So thanks to the people who commented originally. Without it, I probably wouldn't have pushed so hard to follow my doctor's recommendations and go to the hospital, and I wouldn't have stood up to my family. Well, OP, it's good to know that you're feeling better, that you're doing better. Hopefully, whichever of the 2 diagnoses they gave you, well, they can finally pinpoint one and work on that. Also, it's great that you and your sister are sticking together, and yeah, your brother, he can just go pound salt. And on that note, let's move on with the next post. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's from user FakeandBake2020. Me, 30 male, and my wife, 29 female, changed after the baby. So, me and my wife had a wonderful baby girl 2.5 years ago. Before the baby, we were very intimate and affectionate towards each other. After the baby, with the new major responsibilities and sleepless nights, our relationship changed in a very negative way. We started to bicker and argue about little things, and we became very frustrated and annoyed with each other. Over the past 2 years, our lives became purely focused on raising our baby, and our relationship kind of got put in second place, which makes sense and I feel is very normal for couples with their first baby. However, Just a few weeks ago, I became very aware of how I may have been a big problem in our relationship. I was viewing it all wrong. I was the one who wasn't putting in so much effort with the baby, and I was still trying to live my life pre-baby style, instead of fully taking up as much of the responsibilities as my wife was. Since realizing this, I have made a complete change and I am taking over most of the responsibilities where I can. This has led to me feeling a lot better about life in general and feeling a greater sense of love and affection for my wife as well as my daughter. My wife and I hardly argue anymore, and I've realized that her behavior towards me was a reaction to my actions, or lack thereof, around her. I was always putting me first instead of her and our child, which was wrong. So, all that being said, the problem is, before the baby, my wife was very affectionate towards me. Random hugs and kisses, she would initiate intimate moments, and she just had a certain look when she looked at me. Since our rough patch ended, things have been better. More sex, more admiration for each other and all that, but it's still different than before. My wife hardly ever initiates sex unlike before, and a lot of the times when I ask, there's some reason like I'm tired. It's like our roles are now reversed. I'm the completely smitten, affectionate one, and she's now a little more reserved and withholding. I'm worried that I may have caused some permanent damage while I was being not a great partner to my wife. We have had a few discussions about how I was acting. She's very glad I changed and I'm improving and trying to be better. She tells me I don't need to regret any of my past, and the fact that I've changed is all I need to focus on, and we'll move forward together. Does anyone have a similar story that would share some advice? It has been only a few weeks since I've changed, so I understand it's early and I'm hopeful that we may be able to get back to a point similar to before our child. Well, OP, first of all, good for you for realizing that you weren't carrying your weight in the relationship and now you're trying to fix things. That is a positive. Unfortunately, it did take you a long time. 2.5 years is a lot for your wife to just bear alone with the childcare responsibilities. So I totally understand if she grew somewhat resentful towards you and that led to a lot of bickering and arguing. Now, as you've stated, since your change in the way you approach things have gotten better, but you might think there's some permanent damage. I wouldn't call it permanent damage, but there definitely has been a change in your relationship dynamic. Of course, I would think that in time, if you keep this up and you show your wife that this isn't just a fad and that in a few months' time you're going to revert back to the person that you were before you figured out this change and that you can contribute and be her partner, then in time, things will get better, of course. But I don't believe that you're going to go to something too similar to how it was before your whole rough patch. I believe people have the capacity to change and evolve, and your actions certainly had an impact on your wife. But in any case, things should get better because you apparently are on the right path and she's reacting well to it. So just give it more time and let her get used to this new you. What do you guys think? What kind of advice would you give OP? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Beyond Interesting says, "It sounds like you guys are on the right track, but just need patience to take it slow. Maybe she's taking time to make sure you change for good and not just temporarily. Just one theory that I've seen and experienced. It took 2.5 years to get to this point, so it's not going to change overnight. Baby steps and all that. Keep going." And OP responds, "For sure, I 100% agree. I believe if I was in her situation, I might be a little suspicious of the complete change as well. Thanks for the support." Post Faith says, "You can't really expect her to default to intimacy after a week when she's been carrying the whole load while you've been acting like a child for years. Temper your expectations and don't burden her even further with your expectations for sex and affection after acting like an adult for only a week. I've been your wife and you're smug. I'm so great this week after being a jackass for 2 years. Why won't she play with my penis? Infuriates me. You haven't behaved like her partner for a very long time." And OP responds, "Hard truth, but I have to agree with it. You're absolutely right in tempering my expectations. I think that's a very good piece of advice for me. I hope I didn't make it sound like all I wanted from her is sex either though, cause that's definitely not the way it is. I said in the original post that we've actually have been having sex a lot more lately, so I'm actually pretty happy with where we're at with that side of things. It's more about I'm hoping at some point in time we'll be more affectionate in the way we used to be. Just to clarify that point a little. But you also have a great point with I haven't behaved like her partner in a long time as well. That's very true, and I hope I can make that up to her by being a great partner from here on out. I can't change the past, but I can change the future. Thanks for the tough love, I appreciate it. CGY says, 2.5 years is a long time to act selfishly. You mentioned you've turned your attitude around just a few weeks ago. It's great, you're already seeing some positive results, but you can't expect that your few weeks will magically undo years of damage. It probably just takes time and more communication to rebuild that trust and relationship. I mean, are you willing to give her 2.5 years of improved behavior to show you are serious and this isn't just a temporary thing? Well, the advice seems to be in agreement. It will definitely take time for Opie's wife to get there. Now, again, I don't think she will get there exactly as she was before the baby, but if OP continues to show his wife that he is a proper partner, things will definitely get better. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.